Chapter 5. Ash Behind Her Eyes. Some trees are born from blood, some from fire. Only one remembers both. From a carving on a hollowed stone, near the place where voices no longer echo. The mast no longer hummed when I touched it. It didn't need to. The sound had settled into me. I could feel it now, even when I was far from it. Not as noise, but as pressure. As if the air around my skin was a little heavier, like a reminder. Wait. That was the word. The command. The warning. The invitation. I wasn't sure. But I listened. For a day, I did nothing but walk the bay's edges. I watched for changes. The rocks stayed where they were, but some felt warmer than before. The trees shifted more slowly. The fog didn't retreat like it used to. It lingered now, touching my arms and face like it was trying to remember me. I didn't build a fire that day. I cooked nothing. I said very little. Still, the world moved. I woke with a cut on my ankle. Thin, shallow. A single line across the skin, as if made by something that had passed through me in the night. Not a creature, not a blade, just presence. There were footprints in the sand that didn't match mine. Three-toed, small, but deep. I followed them, only a few steps. Then they vanished. They ended at the edge of the fog. The fog didn't shift away. It stayed thick. I stepped into it. The sound changed instantly. My breath echoed like I was inside a small room, but there were no walls. Only trees spaced wide, only moss underfoot. Then I heard it. A sharp noise, like a reed snapping, then another. The vines on the ground pulled tight, and the forest held its breath. It came from the left, a length of thorned root, coiled around a smooth stone. It slid toward me slowly, its body like a rope braided from bark. A single thorn, long and wet, protruded from the end. It didn't charge. It pulsed. The moss around it grew darker. I stepped back, but it followed. Just a little. Then I heard a voice. It wasn't a voice, really. It was something in the pressure of the air. The mast had felt like this once, but this was different. Not old, not slow, angry. You don't belong here. I swallowed. I didn't speak, but I thought. I let the silence answer first. The vine pulsed again. It didn't want me to leave. It wanted me to kneel, so I did. Slowly, carefully, I knelt on the moss and placed my hands flat on the ground. The vine stopped. Another root crept forward, from behind. No thorns, just bark. It touched my wrist, where the red string had been tied. Then both roots retreated, and the fog began to pull away. I walked back to the mast. It was quiet, but not absent. I sat by its roots and looked up. I didn't speak. I didn't think. I just waited. And then it hummed again. A different tone this time. Lower. Heavier. It felt like a question. I didn't have an answer, but I said, softly, something saw me. The humming stopped. Then, slowly, the moss around the base of the mast began to part. Not violently, just enough to show a path I hadn't seen before. It led away from the water, into the trees. It didn't feel like a new path. It felt old, forgotten, hidden not by distance, but by decision. As if the island had waited for me to be ready, not to leave, but to be let in. I followed it the next morning. The path narrowed quickly. Branches grew thicker overhead. Light barely passed through. At one point, the ground beneath me shifted, not as if it collapsed, more like it breathed. I crouched low. My fingers brushed the soil. It was warm. A root pulsed just beneath the surface. Then I heard another voice. This one roared like wind. One of you left. One of you stayed. I didn't know who it meant. My mother? The others? One of you returns. I wanted to answer, but I didn't know how. So I kept walking. The trees grew stranger the deeper I went. Their bark was braided like rope. Their branches curled inward. One tree had what looked like a mouth, closed tight, just above its base. I gave it space. The ground turned to clay. The moss disappeared. Then the fog returned, thinner now, but faster. It moved like it knew me. There was a clearing, center, a stone basin filled with black water. I stepped close. My reflection wasn't mine. It showed my face, but older. Tired, covered in soot. The eyes were not mine. Not yet. I didn't touch it. Instead, I looked around. The trees formed a ring. At their base, small stones were placed in pairs, aligned carefully. Burial? Tribute? I didn't know. Then the wind rose. From the far side of the clearing, something emerged. Not walked. Emerged. A shape of bark and smoke. A small body, thin like a child, but glowing slightly at the joints. Eyes like coal burned low. It didn't speak, but the air did. You carry her scent. I didn't move. You carry her silence. The figure stepped toward me. You do not carry her fire. It paused. Then it held out its hand. Inside it, a tiny flame, barely alive. Take it. I did. The moment I touched it, the trees shuddered. The ground shook. The basin rippled. Then everything was still again. The figure was gone. I opened my hand. The flame had gone out, but the warmth remained. When I returned to the mast, the roots moved slightly. They curled around the place I sat. I whispered, I think it gave me something. The mast didn't hum, but the soil beneath it shifted. A small stone emerged. On it, a carved mark, one I recognized from her old satchel. I took it, and for the first time, the mast felt lighter. Not smaller, just less burdened. As if a story it had been holding had finally been passed on. I slept beneath its roots that night. The fog did not return, but something watched me. I did not feel fear, only readiness. The world was no longer waiting, and neither was I.